Welcome back to another video. Now, I've just returned from Germany, where, of course, I was watching the Leipzig v Tottenham game, which the game ended 3-0 and 4-0 on aggregate. Tottenham are now out of this season's Champions League. To say I was gutted was a complete understatement. Lots of people said before I went, what's the point in going? Tottenham are going to lose anyway. Me being a Tottenham fan, and I go to every single game, home, away, Europe, whatever, wherever Tottenham are playing, you know, I love to be there. And I just wanted to go to support the club, to support the team, and just have that little bit of hope that we could turn the tie around and go through to the quarterfinals. I wouldn't have left my house if I didn't have 1% of hope that Tottenham were going to turn that tie around. Of course, everyone thought that we were dead and buried last year against Ajax, and that's what I was hoping for. I was hoping for another miracle. It didn't happen. It didn't look like we had any leaders on the pitch. There looked like a lack of desire. It was a very, very disappointing game. Of course, Tottenham are now out of the Champions League, which is just... it is just awful. I felt absolutely dreadful after the game. I was like a little kid sulking last night, I must admit. I didn't talk to anybody after that match. You know, went back on the coach and then went back on the train. And I was fed up. I was really, really fed up. Lots of people are blaming the board for lack of investment. Lots of people are blaming Jose Mourinho. Lots of people are blaming the players. And lots of people are blaming either two of those factors or even all three. Now, today I'm going to do a question and answer session. I've never done this before, but over the last couple of videos, lots of people have been asking me a lot of questions. There is very, very mixed opinion at the moment. Of course, Tottenham haven't done very well in the past, 5-6 games. It's been really, really poor. And no one seems to agree. No Tottenham fans seem to agree at the moment. I'm disagreeing with lots of friends, lots of family, lots of associates, lots of people that I talk to about Tottenham, and lots of people are disagreeing with each other's opinions. For instance, was it right that Pochettino went? Was it right that Mourinho came in? You know, there are so many talking points. So lots of people have put some questions and some points on my video, so I'm going to go through a few of them. So here they are. First question up is by Paul Van Ben, and he said, are you sponsored by Enquires? You never mention the owners. Now, this comment was put on a video that I posted earlier. It was a radio interview with TalkSport 2. The interviewer was Paul Coit, who, of course, you will know at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. He is the halftime announcer, normally interviewing the legends and the guests. Now, every single video that I do, every single radio interview, and certainly with the podcast and radio show Last Word on Spurs. Now, a couple of weeks ago, people were actually tweeting and writing in to Ricky, who runs the show, that I was being extremely negative because I kept saying that we needed to spend money. Now, I have always said this. I've always said that Tottenham Hotspur Football Club do need to spend more money in the transfer windows. Now, I saw a stat only a week or two ago, and it stated that during Daniel Levy's time at Tottenham, our net spend on every single transfer window was just under £5.5 million. Now, that clearly isn't enough. You know, Tottenham are now an established Champions League team, and I'm sorry to keep going back to the 1st of June, but when Pochettino guided Tottenham to the Champions League final, you know, that was the time. The summer was the time to invest serious money. Yes, people can say, well, we spent £65 million on Ndombele. Yes, it hasn't worked out for him yet, or will it ever work out for him at the club? Who knows? But that was at a time when Tottenham could have attracted the world's best, the Europe's elite players. You know, it really put Tottenham on the map. Even though we lost the Champions League final, Tottenham got to that final. So it was that time when we should have been attracting the best players in the world if we were to pay the wages. But Tottenham clearly don't pay top wages to players. It is a shame, but I'm very surprised by Paul's comment, because I mention, you know, spending money all the time, and at this very, very point, I think that Tottenham have got a very, very painful rebuild. I think that Pochettino was totally right in him saying that, you know, a painful rebuild is needed. Now, it does worry me slightly that Jose Mourinho has said that it's not a rebuild that we need. And I don't think that the board or even Jose Mourinho are showing any intent at the moment that we are going to go out and spend big, big money in the summer, because, you know, where are Tottenham going to be next season? Are we challenging for the top four? Are we challenging for the Premier League? Are we challenging for domestic cups? I really don't know where the club is heading right now, because even getting Harry Kane and Heung-min Son back, and a couple of the other players, Bergwijn and Moussa Sissoko, are those four players really going to be pushing Tottenham on to be challenging for the top four? Because you know that all of the other teams are going to be putting huge investment into their teams. Again, the likes of Manchester City and Liverpool. Leicester have come up as well, and of course Chelsea will go out and spend money, I'm sure, and so will rivals Arsenal. You know, all of these clubs are catching us up. So I think that Tottenham do need to spend an awful lot of money. But will it happen? I'm not so sure. We all live in hope. But we know how much money the board spend. We know that we want to sell, or the board want to always sell players before we get others in. But I think that this summer is absolutely huge, because Tottenham changing the manager, changing Pochettino to bring a serial winner in Jose Mourinho. If Jose Mourinho hasn't got the tools next season, then who knows what is going to happen. A point made by Heaven DA, and they have said the crowd sounded magnificent on a disappointing night. Now, you're absolutely right. When I was in the Red Bull Arena last night, I was very, very proud to be a Tottenham fan. Of course, yes, very disappointed to lose, but the crowd just did not stop singing. Even when we were 2-0 down, the crowd were just singing their hearts out, and that is why I think it is such a shame at the moment, the situation that Tottenham are in, because Tottenham do have some fantastic fans. A lot of people travelled out to Leipzig, and I must say that getting to the Leipzig stadium wasn't easy. Most people stayed in Berlin or surrounding areas and then travelled into Leipzig. There wasn't any direct flights when I was booking them anyway into Leipzig, so it was you know, quite a trek to get there. And bearing in mind as well, at the weekend we played Burnley away, a 500-mile round trip, Burnley away, coming back, then going on a flight, going out to Leipzig. So the support for the football club is absolutely amazing. You know, we really do have some great supporters, and that is why I think it is such a shame that we haven't won a trophy in so long. I bang on about trophies all the time. An FA Cup, you know, no FA Cup in 29 years, no League Cup in 12 years. You know, as our last domestic cup, League Cup 12 years ago. It's just crazy. It's a crazy stat. Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, this shiny new stadium, Jose Mourinho as our manager, the likes of Harry Kane in the team, the training facilities are top-notch as well, and we haven't had a trophy in 12 years. It is just unbelievable. Not to mention not had a league title since 1961 and any European trophy since 1984. So, you know, in answer to your point, magnificent on a disappointing night. I couldn't agree more. And at the moment, I think that the fans deserve better. And I'm really, really hoping that the trophies do come soon, because the Tottenham fans really do need something to cheer about, even if it is just an FA Cup or a League Cup. Because I know some people will say that, say, well, what's the point in winning them? The fans need something to cheer about. They really, really do. On last night's fan cam video, Thomas K wrote, even for this lineup, the performance was rather shocking. Lo Celso still proper class. Come on, you Spurs. Now, I must say that Giovanni Lo Celso has really, really impressed me over the last couple of months. And indeed, Lucas Moura. Lucas Moura, of course, in tears at the end of the whistle of Tottenham going out the Champions League. Now, that is the sort of that is the sort of thing that I want to see. I want to see the players extremely disappointed. when we've lost a game like that, because the fans travel over to Germany, the fans travel all over the world, everyone watching at home. No matter how we all support the club, we are all supporting the club. And when you see players who are actually bothered about it, it gives you that connection. And I think that, you know, Lucas Moura at the moment, he's running for every ball. He's running his heart out of them at the moment. It's very, very difficult because he's getting very little service. But Giovanni Lo Celso, you know, those two, I think that have been good players for us in recent weeks, even though we have had poor results. So it is now up to everybody else to really step their game up and give the commitment and the desire that those two are given at the moment. On the same video, Alan Marshall wrote, "We are becoming a laughing stock." Now, the results recently have just been abysmal. That first half at Burnley was absolutely abysmal. You know, the fans around me were booing at half time. You know, that was an awful, awful performance. And, you know, just think, you know, just a year or so ago, you know, we were heading towards the Champions League final. Yes, some performances weren't great in the league, but it was completely different. It was just completely different. What a year, you know, what the difference of a year has made to the type of football that we were playing. And, you know, going back to your point, a laughing stock. Yes, lots of people will think that we're a laughing stock at the moment. And Tottenham really, really do need to turn this around very, very quickly. We've got 9 league games left, and we just need to get every single point we can. But I want to see the leadership on the pitch, and I want to see the desire of every single player wanting to win. You know, there has been moments where I just see 11 players playing football, and I don't see them playing as a team. You know, I have made criticisms towards Jose Mourinho, which I've been absolutely battered on this channel, saying, you know, it's not about Mourinho. I look at some of his decisions that he makes, and I think it's right to question, even though he's been in charge for you know, less than 4 months or so. But I do believe that we need to give Mourinho time. But if we are going to give him time, the board do need to give him serious investment in the summer. And as I said earlier on in the video, it does worry me the way that he's saying that it's not a rebuild that we need. I personally feel it is a lot of players that we need. A lot of the defence need replacing. A lot of the midfield need replacing. And we certainly need some backup for Harry Kane. And we have learnt that every season. In recent times, Harry Kane has been out injured. Llorente came in, done a job. We got rid of Llorente and we didn't replace. And that was a really, really poor decision. Another question here from CC Media International. And they write, "Jose out now, Chris. He's really not worked, and he's surely got to be damage limitation now." Now, the amount of times that I've criticised some of Jose Mourinho's decisions, I wouldn't at this point say that I want Jose Mourinho out. I don't think that that would be the way forward at all, because you'd have to then bring another manager in. They would make changes. They would make certain players go out the door. They would then get, you know, completely different players in. It just depends on the direction of the club. It really, really does. Because if I say if, it looks very unlikely that we're going to get Champions League football next season. But if we don't get in the Europa League, which that's a whole new debate, because some people will say, you know, we don't want Europa League football. We'd rather not have European football at all. I believe as a football club, we have to be in European competition, even if it is the Europa League. But Jose Mourinho does need time, and he needs the money to spend. If you are going to make such a huge decision in letting a fan's favourite like Pochettino go out the door and sacking him, and you are going to get a serial winner in Jose Mourinho, then you need to give him what he needs. So in the summer, whatever he needs, whatever shopping list he creates and says, this position we need, right back, for instance, another centre forward, you know, the list is endless, really. But he needs to say, this is exactly what I want, and go out and get those players, because we need to show real intent of where Tottenham are going and what we are actually aiming for next season. Another point here from JNKM0409, and they have written, let's face it, folks, Tottenham is Sonny FC. Now, obviously, Harry Kane and Heung-min Son being out of the Tottenham team is going to have a big, big effect on Tottenham's results and Tottenham's performances. But I must say, in the last, month or so, Chelsea away, Burnley away, I think even if you take those two games as an example, I think if Heung-min Son and Harry Kane were in those teams, in those lineups for those two games, I think the results would have been very, very similar. I've got to say that because I think defensively and in midfield it has been very, very poor. It seems to be very disorganised. It seems to be lack of desire, lack of leadership. There's no real leaders on the pitch right now. But two players, you take two players out of a team, that is not the whole team. You know, there are still another 9 players who should be doing their job. So I don't think it is as simple as just saying, put those 2 players back in and we're going to be all right. That's why I'm saying I think that we're going to need to sign a good few additions, and I mean household names. Tottenham under Pochettino, we never ever signed household names. It was always players that he wanted to mould into great players. But Jose Mourinho's management style, I think, is totally different. He likes named players, but will he get the money to do that? Another point here, Paul Russell writes, to be honest, Ndombele was a Levy signing. Poch didn't seem keen on him either. I think that if that came across that Pochettino didn't seem keen on him and Mourinho doesn't seem keen on him, you've now got the fans that don't seem keen on Ndombele as well. One game in particular that I will always remember is Brighton away, when we got absolutely battered by Brighton. Another low point in Tottenham's season. He just couldn't run. He's been substituted so many times. He now comes on as sub because he just cannot last the game. I think it's just such a shame because we see these little glimpses of real talent. It is just so frustrating because when you know a player is so talented, and then you see a clip. I don't know whether you saw the clip against Wolves when they were on the attack. He was running back. He showed no intent of really breaking into a sweat or even making a tackle, and it's just so frustrating to watch. You know, when you've gone out and spent that sort of money, you expect a lot more, and these are the sorts of players that need to be stepping up to the plate and getting Tottenham the results, and showing the other players, you know, come on, you know, this is what we've got to do. You know, these are key moments in the season, and we're now in March. And Ndombele has never ever looked fit. He had a whole pre-season with Pochettino, a whole summer with Pochettino, and you know, let's face it, Pochettino works the players very hard. And we're now in March, and he looks no fitter whatsoever. So it's very frustrating. So lots of points that I've spoken about. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section below. As I said at the start of the video, lots of people are having heated debates at the moment. Lots of Tottenham fans amongst themselves, even friends and family and so on. You know, we don't seem to all agree on what's happening at the moment. Whether Pochettino, you know, whether it was right for Pochettino to go, whether it was right for Mourinho to come in, whether these set of players are good enough to take us forward. What players that you want out the door because you don't think they're good enough, and you know, the lack of money that the board has spent over the last 20 years or so. But all I'm interested in right now is Tottenham getting into a European place this season, and you know, next season or even the season after, I want a trophy in the bank. I really do. Even if it is the FA Cup or League Cup, we need a trophy. We need something to cheer about. 2008 was our last domestic cup, and that is absolutely ridiculous. But let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section below. If there is a good response to this video, then I might do a weekly Q&A. So feel free to put some points or even some questions in the comment section below, and let's see what we can discuss. So I will see you on Sunday. you know, hoping for a win, obviously, against Manchester United. It is an uphill struggle at the moment, but we've got 9 Premier League games left. And I think that Tottenham needs to treat every single one of them like a cup final and just get every single point on the board we can and just climb up that league in the best way possible. Come on, you Spurs.